All right, everybody, good afternoon. This is lesson 10 of Zero to Hero Dataverse program. Today we have Danish Naglekar returning now for the third time, right? You did one on JavaScript, then you did an introduction of PCF controls, and then today we're going to have a lab. Dennis said last week that I always overstate the facts, but I don't create fake news. I mean, to me, Dennis is one of the authorities when it comes to PCF development. I have tapped into his resources, including the book that's out there. I think it's the only PCF book out there. Um, it's on Amazon. I'll put the link when I publish this video. So anybody who's interested in getting the book, go get it because I get about 2% commission on it. Just kidding. I don't get anything. Just the joy of having a friend really fulfill his mission. All right, Danish, I'll hand it over to you. And yeah, the floor is yours. Take it away, man.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Victor, and welcome to the second session of PCF. So today we are gonna do the hands-on lab, right? So before we go into the hands-on lab, we just wanted to revise what we did early on, and then just see where we were last session. So going to the next slide, what did we see in the last session? So we looked at the overview of PCF, what PCF actually meant, how it was different from HTML web resources, and what all we also saw the deployment process. We also did some demo, but then that was just me doing few things in the system. So today we are actually going to do hands-on. So I want you guys to get involved in this and actually build a control with me. Yeah. So what do we need for this session in order to get our PCF control up and running? So we need the Power Apps, all the prerequisites for Power Apps, Power Platform CLI. Like you need your 4.6.2 version of .NET Framework. You need Power Platform CLI. You need Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. You need some kind of interface. And then you also need NPM installed on your machine. I had mentioned this in the earlier session as well. So hopefully you guys have installed that prerequisites. We would also need XRM Toolbox, right? We would need PCF Builder installed on your XRM Toolbox. Good to have it on VS Code as well. But if you don't have it on VS Code, that's fine. And then we would need one Dataverse environment with some demo forms where we can configure the control. And then lastly, we would need Fiddler. Yeah. OK, so what are we actually going to build today? So let's see what we are going to build. So it's a character counter. But then if you see here, I've typed in. So if you see how it changes colors as well. So that's what we're going to build. So let's see how we can build that. Yeah. OK, so I'm going to pause that presentation and then go back to our hands-on. So here is where I want you to follow along with me. So first thing is you need a folder, which is blank folder. OK, oops, nothing in it. I've just node modules because it would take some time to install node modules. It just expedites the process. But then you just take the folder location. You just copy the folder location, go to your XRM toolbox, search for PCF builder. Yeah, and then open the PCF builder. Now, once you have opened the PCF builder, you just paste that location over here and then click on new PCF control from blank. OK, I'm going to pause here for a second before everyone can do this step. And then we'll go and fill these details in. OK. Move this screen over here. All right. OK, so cool. Hopefully everyone got time to get to this step right now. So once you have got to this step, we'll put in the namespace details and everything. So you can put in whatever you want in the namespace. I'm going to say 0 to 0 dot PCF control. Yeah. And then in my display name, I'm going to say awesome character count. Yeah. Let's give some space in between. Okay. So 0 to hero .pcf.controls, you can put whatever you want. Display name, awesome character counter, you can put whatever you want again. Yeah. And then you can put in description if you want. Now from the template, we're going to select field. Yeah. And in the additional package, we're going to select Fluent UI because we are going to use that Fluent UI controls that are available. So once you have all these things configured properly, you hit the create button. Okay. So I see people still trickling in. So I'm going to just reiterate a few of the things while this is getting installed. So we have started with the hands-on. So what you want to do is you want to have an empty folder, copy the location of the empty folder, open your XRM toolbox and open PCF builder, and then paste that location inside control location, and then hit new control from blank. Once you have hit new control from blank, you then add all these details. You add the namespace, said 0 to hero.pcf.controls. You can add whatever you want. Then you add the display name awesome character counter. And then you select the template as filled. And then in the additional package, don't forget this, you have to select Fluent UI. OK, once you have populated all of these details, hit the create button. OK, I'm going to pause here and then just give you time to catch up. I see Ivan or Ivan joining. Hey, Ivan.
Hello there.
Hey.
Every time Ivan joins, he's at the beach somewhere. So I don't know where he's at today.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that time
true.
of the year now.
That is true. OK, hopefully everyone got time to fill in these details, hit the create button. Now, once there's no running processes anymore, and this says initialized, you can go and hit this open in VS Code button. And that should open up in VS Code. OK, so we have everything that we need on a control on this Explorer. Now, if you're using Visual Studio 2019, 2022, whatever you're using, the experience will be a little different because I'm using Visual Studio Code. I'm going to guide you through how you use it in Visual Studio Code. Yeah. OK, so the next thing is you can go back to your control and let's just add some properties. So to add the properties, because it's a character counter, right? So what we are saying is we would need one property that would accept the characters that the user will type in, right? So let's go and click on this add manage properties. Select this sample property, and then let's change this sample property to say, let me just see what my notes say. OK, so let's call that as input control. And this would be your character counter control. OK, put in whatever you want in the description. In the data type, you select now on your form. If you have a multi-line text box, then select multiple. If you don't have a multi-line text box, and if you only have a single line text box, then select single line text. Now I have already added on my form a multi-line text box. This is my multi-line text box, right? And you can see that this text in multiple lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select multiple over here. OK, and it's going to be bound. It's going to be required. So once you have added all of these properties, hit the update button and then click on close and build. OK, pretty simple. Everyone following? Any questions so far?
My managed properties just didn't pop up, Danish.
Oh, it did not pop up.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
this
it's showing us running some of the, so
right?
for it to be done.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you have to wait until those node modules all load up. So if it's not initialized, then yeah, it won't show up the managed properties yet. So okay, we'll wait for another minute and then see if everyone reaches to this point.
You can move forward for the sake of time, Danish.
Okay. So now we have added a property and everything is built. It's now succeeded, right? Let's go back to our form. And here you can go and expand your awesome character counter folder and go to control manifest input file. You can see everything is now populated over here, whatever you just added. Yeah, you don't have to change anything here, right? Now you can go and head back to your index.ts file. Now, remember in the last session, we talked about init method, update view, and get outputs and destroy, right? 4 methods. We would be utilizing those methods, but before that, let's concentrate on building the control first. So the way I normally work is I don't come to index.ts file unless until my control is ready. And because we are going to use React and Fluent UI, I'm going to go and add that control first. So for that, right click this awesome character counter folder and then say add new folder. And then you can say component or components. Yeah. Once you have added that folder under components, go and add a new file. You can call this file as character counter or circular counter, whatever you want. I'm going to call it a circular counter. Yeah. And the extension of this file is going to be tsx. It's going to be our TypeScript extension file. So circular counter.tsx. Okay. Now, a few things you want to do here. Go to your extensions and make sure you have the extension for React snippets. I use this a lot. So this is called simple React snippets. You search for that in this extension and then install it. Okay. And I'll wait for you guys to install that. It will take a few seconds before it installs. Okay, hopefully that's installed by now. And now what we want to do is we want to use some of the snippets. So if you scroll down on this page, you'll see some of the snippets mentioned over here. The one snippets that we are going to use is IMR and CCC. Okay, IMR and CCC. So going back to our control, if I do IMR, hit enter, it imports the React statement. So I don't have to type a lot of the code. Then I'm going to add CCC. It gives me a class component constructor. I'm going to hit enter. Now it's blinking here, right? It's not done yet. Don't press anything else except enter. After you press enter, type in your control name, which is going to be circular component. Yeah. Once you have typed in, you can see that the name surfaced on interfaces, property interface, state interface, class name, everywhere else, right? Wherever it has been used. And then once you have done with typing the name, you hit tab. And that's it. Your entire class component is ready for you to use. Okay. Now, we still have to go and add few things in here. So first thing is we need some properties, and that would be our text value, right? So we would need like a text, whatever the value is there, that would be in the property. So we're going to do text value, which will be optional variable. So that's why a question mark followed by a colon and then string, because it will be of type string. Okay. The second, why is that? Okay. The second one is maximum number of characters needed, right? How much characters are available? So we're gonna do max character, again optional, and then of type number. Okay. Make sure they're doing a comma here. Okay. And then we are also gonna do one more is gonna do current character. And this is again going to be optional and of type number. Now we'll get back to why we are using current character in a moment. So now you can go and save your file. Now, once you have defined your properties, you have to define your state, because state is the one that you would be using in your rendering of the component. Yeah. So using this same values, we would be defining a state. So in a state, it already gives you the format. So format of state is key value pair. So that's why you have a colon in between. So here first property is going to be our same text value that we captured over here, right? And then the value for that key is going to be props. That props is going to come from here. Okay, so props dot text value. Simple, right? Similarly, we would do max character and then props dot max character. Current character into props dot current character. Okay, so now you have defined your state here. Now text value, as you can see by the definition, it can be a string or it can be undefined. We don't want our text value in the state to be undefined. So we would provide some defaults. So we would say, OK, if text value is null, then take a null string. Similarly, for max character, it could be number or undefined. Now, undefined and null are two different things in JavaScript, TypeScript, whatever, right? So you have to make sure that undefined, I don't want that undefined definition on my states. So I'm going to change this and then say, OK, if max character is undefined, my default is going to be 100. So 100 is going to be my default maximum character. And then if current character is undefined, then my default is going to be 0. Make sense? So far, so good. Okay. Okay. So let's move on. Now we are going to define what's going to go in our render function. So before we go and write anything in the render function, as I said, we would be using our Fluent Ui. So you can go to this link. You can actually search for Fluent UI. And you would have this developer.microsoft.com. You can go to this link. And once you have navigated to this link, you can go to controls. Now under controls, you'll have basic inputs, and you can select this text field under basic inputs. OK, so you click on that and a text field React component appears in front of you. You scroll down to this usage page and you see this show code area. You just expand it and just scroll down to this return, right? This is exactly how it looks like in our code, but it doesn't, it's empty. So we just copy this inside stack that we have here. Yeah, just copy it, right click. It doesn't give me right click. That's fine. So you can just use Control C and then go back to your code and just paste it under this 2 brackets. Okay. You hit save and it will give a lot of errors. We'll fix these errors in a moment. So we only want one text field, so we can remove all the other text field components. So remove that. Okay, so now it looks good. Now hover over this stack and then say quick fix. And out of these options, select this one, which says Fluent UI React LIB stack. The reason why you want to do that is because if you're importing anything from here, when you build a control, the entire React Fluent UI React library will be embedded in your bundle.js, and you don't want that. You want a specific component, and that's why we are selecting stack. Okay. Similarly, hover over text field, say quick fix, and then import this library from text field. Okay. And then get rid of this column properties. Okay. And save. So we got rid of everything, and that's how the code should look like for now. Okay. Next, what we would do is we don't want this label, or maybe we keep the label. That's fine. We keep the label. Text field has certain properties to it. So the property that we want to use is called default value. So if you inside that two brackets inside text field, you do a space and then you type in default value. And then inside default value, you remove this double quotes and then start with the curly brackets. And then inside curly brackets, you type in state, this dot state dot, and it should give you the text value. Oops. Copy and then paste. Why is text value isn't coming here? Let me see what's wrong. Text. Oh, yeah. Okay. Guys, we are missing two things. We have to do export on component properties and export on state. And state should be of, it should implement React component component state. React dot component state. Component state. Extends. Sorry. So you have to write in extends React component state. This is very much necessary so that you don't get this issues, because this state is what we are passing over here. And this should be of, it should extend the React component state. Then this state becomes easily accessible within the class component. Okay. So this is how your code should look like. So I'm going to pause here so that you can review your code before we can move on. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to come off mute and then ask the questions.
Yeah, for me, Danish, I'm doing piece by piece, but I don't want to lose track. My code generation is still running on the PCF builder, so I don't know what's going on. But what I'm doing is I'm just following along and creating the assets as you are creating as well.
Okay.
And then I'll review the video later. But this is pretty good pace. Thank you.
Okay. Good to know. Circular component properties. I mistyped my circular, so I was just trying to fix that. Okay. Cool. So hopefully everyone is on this step right now. Now we have our component created. It's not completed yet, but it's still there. So now it's time to hook this component with index.ts file, which is our PCF file. Okay, so let's head back to our index.ts file. Okay, so under index.ts file, if you remember our previous session, what we did is we took this container and then we created a global variable for that container. And then we did the same thing for that notify output changed, right? So we would do the same thing here as well. We would create two global variables, private, and then my nomenclature is just to make sure that it's different. I use the, and then copy container from here with C capital. And then the easiest way to do this is just copy the definition from here of that container. So copy and then give it here, right? So private, the container, HTML div, everything comes out of whatever is in the init. Same thing, we'll copy this notify output changed and then create a variable out of it as well. So private, and then copy everything and then change this N to capital N so that we are following the camel casing. Okay, so now we have these two variables, but then in the init method, we have to use them. Yeah. So let's go in the init method and type in the container is equal to, and then we will initialize this the global the container variable with this container. So just copy and paste. Yeah. Same thing, the notify output changed will be copied from here. Both the things copied over, right? So our init method is almost there. Now we need to hook up our React component or render our React component inside this index file. So normally what I do is I create a private function for that. Let me get rid of this red marks. Okay, there you go. Now it looks better, right? Okay, so what I do is I normally create a private function for that. So inside your class, you'll have all these public methods. After all that public methods, I'll go and add my private methods. Yeah. So inside this private method, I'm going to write a private method called render react DOM. And it would pass in one single parameter called as parent of type any. Okay, we are going to look why is this needed. Okay, so render react DOM, and then in this we would use the React, or React isn't included in here. Okay, so what we would do is we would include the import React and IMRC. Okay, that will import the React and the component. If you have installed that snippets, you can use this IMRC and it will import your React and import your component. And then in here, you can type in React DOM. Our React DOM is also not installed. So we'll go and install React DOM as well. I'm React DOM. Okay. It says React DOM doesn't exist. I've seen this issue before. So let's go and fix this. So React DOM doesn't, it says it doesn't exist. So to fix this issue, what we could do is we could open our terminal. If you don't know how to open your terminal here, you can go to terminal and then say new terminal. Okay. Once you have opened your terminal and type in npm and then install as in I and then React -DOM space types / React-DOM. So what we are doing essentially is we are installing React DOM and the types associated to React DOM because we are using TypeScript. Okay. So let's wait for that to get installed. Okay, so that's installed. No issues over there. Right. So now it should. Okay, maybe we have to use star. You have to use star as React DOM. Okay. So once this is fixed, if there are no errors anymore, we can go back here and then say React DOM dot. And then in here you say render control. And then within render, you will have options. You have a lot of overload methods. The one that we are going to use is this one, where it loads the component. And our component is called circular counter, right? So circular counter. So circular component, is that what I've called? Okay. Circular component, that's what we want, right? And then we are going to do the container. Now the container is coming from here, right? The container. But because this is private method, we would say parent dot the container. Okay. Oh yeah. So this component needs to be inside a React element. So sorry about that. So what you can do is delete this circular component and then type in React dot create element, open the brackets, and then here you type in the circular component. Okay. So your render React method should look like this. React DOM dot render, and then within that render, you would have the create React element as the first parameter with a circular component, and then the parent as the container, like where you want to add it. Okay. Now there is one more thing that we want to do here, which we'll do in a second. Going back to circular component, you can see we have created these properties, right? Properties are the way that you pass in the data from your PCF control to your React component. Okay, so from a PCF control to your React component, the way you pass in the data is through the circular component properties. So you want to copy this name, circular component properties, and head over to your index file. And in your index file, you want to scroll up. And again, on the top level, you want to go and initialize this as a private variable called as props. We can call it as props. And this will be of type that circular component property. Okay. Now it gives you an error here because this also needs to be imported. So again, hovering over there, you can say quick fix and then say update import from, and it will just import the properties for you. So let's go and initialize this to empty. Now remember that circular component properties, everything is optional. Now I'll show you one trick. So if you don't put question mark, this would yell at you and it will tell you that text value is required. So you cannot initialize it. So that's why we actually did that as optional in the beginning. You can keep it as required. So there are a lot of things you can play around with the code with this kind of things. But just to keep things simple, I just made everything is optional defined over here, and then we'll go and initialize it in our init method in a second. Okay. So now we have these properties. How do we supply that properties to the React? We have just defined it, right? How do they actually get passed inside of the React component? So these properties can be defined anywhere in the code, but then the way they are getting passed into the React is using this React create element. So React create element has two parameters. If you see here, first one is your component, and then the second one is your property. So here is where you would go and provide the second parameter inside create element function, and then you can say parent dot props. Okay, here is where you are actually defining your properties. So now your render React DOM method is fully complete. You can call this method from anywhere in the function anytime you want. So let's go back to init. And now we have defined these properties, but we have not populated the values inside that property. So that is what we're going to do here. So first thing is we want to populate our parameters. So in our method or in our control, we added that. What did we add? Yeah, this input control, which was taking in the input control, right? So we want to use that to get our value, right? So property, so you can start writing code in your init method called as props dot text value is equal to, then you can use this context. So context dot parameters, what we used last time, dot input controls dot raw. Okay, so this will give you a string, but you can see that it gives you string or null. So our text value is defined as string or undefined, whereas this is giving a string or null, so it gives us an error. So what we can do is if it is null, then we default it to empty. Okay, so that's what we do here. The second thing that we would do is now we are not capturing the maximum characters from our control. So let's go and define that as a next new property on our control. So let's head over to our XM Toolbox PCF builder. Go to your managed properties. You can right click on properties and then say add a new property. Let's give it a name as max characters. Characters. Okay, and then this will be of type whole none. Okay, this is not going to be a bound field, so this is going to be an input field where the user can define their own maximum characters, right? And it's going to be required. So let's put it as required. Let's create new property and then close and build. Okay, hopefully everyone is catching up. Okay, so this was succeeded. So let's head back to our control. Now we would have one more parameter. So we would just populate that parameter on our properties. So props dot maximum character. So same thing, context dot parameter dot, but this time we'll take that max character dot raw, and then same thing. If it is null, then we would define it as 100 because 100 is our default, right? Okay. So next thing is we want to calculate the current character. Right, that's our prop on the properties as well, is having current character. So in our current character, how do we calculate what's the current length? So we can copy this input control raw, and we can say raw dot length. Okay. Now, if this system doesn't automatically adds a question mark, you can add a question mark and then say dot length. Okay, I have some things configured like ESLint and Prettier, so sometimes it does things for me without me thinking about it. But if it doesn't happen to you, then just remember to add a question mark because raw can be null. If it is null, then it should return 0. If it is not null, then it will go and fetch the length of that string. Okay. So now we have defined all our properties. Now let's call that render function. So render react DOM, and here is what we would pass in the parent. Parent is nothing but this particular control or this particular instance. So that's why this. And that's it, right? That's our init method. Init method is invoking render react DOM. Render react DOM calls a circular counter, which is also called circular component. And then this will go and fetch our component and then render our component, which is this. If you have reached this point so far, what you could do is go and head back to your XRM toolbox and then say test. Okay. Okay, so now let's start typing in y is r. Oh, yep. Okay, we haven't added that yet. So that's our control, right? So everything is working fine. If you put in the data here, this is 0 to hero, it won't take in because you have not added any code on the update view, right? You just type in this data, hit refresh, and this data would show up here. Okay, everything is looking good. We have the label show up here as well. So everything is looking good, right? So let's head back to our code and don't close the testing. Keep it open. Let's head back to our code. Remove this label. We don't want that. I didn't like it. So I'm going to hit save. As soon as you save it, this sandbox is going to refresh and then see if it removed the label for you. Okay, so now you're testing and it's refreshing the code. So now everything is happening instantaneously. Okay, so next thing, we added React component. Next thing we want to do is add this React circular progress bar. This React circular progress bar, for some reason, it's not loading it up here. I don't know why. OK, so this React circular progress bar is actually the one that gives you that nice looking progress bar, right? So you can just go to npm.js.com, search for React circular progress bar, and it should show up over here. I think so. This is the one. Yep, that's the one. If not, then you can. It's pretty simple. Go to your code, open your terminal again, and then type in npm again install as I space React circular progress. Oh, sorry, React circular progress bar. I'm just gonna see if I can scroll down here. So it's over here. Yeah. npm I React circular progress bar, and then hit enter. Okay, so that installed, and all of this installation, you can actually see it in package.json. So if you go in package.json, you'll see all of our dependencies that we have installed over here. Okay, so yeah, as we have installed a circular progress bar, we'll go and use it on our code. And for some reason, this is not rendering. I don't know why. It does show you how to use it, but for some reason it's not showing me how to use it. It's not rendering, but it's pretty easy. I'm gonna copy that code here. So what you have to do is you have to add a div tag. And once you add a div tag, inside the div tag, you add circular progress bar. OK, once you added circular progress bar, it has value, it has styles, and it has text. We are not going to put anything of it right now. We're just going to put div, add a div tag, and add a circular progress bar. Once you add a circular progress bar, it's going to give you an error. So go and quick fix and then say import again. Don't import this. It's going to import a lot of stuff. Or maybe you do this. Yeah, that's fine. You can do this one. OK, so now it's still giving me error. So what it's telling me is I'm missing few properties. I'm missing value. And I am missing, there should be one more. Yeah, I think it's just a value. OK, so let's declare value here. And here is where we have to declare our value. That value is going to be that percentage value, like how much you want to fill up your circle, right? We don't have that. So what do we do? we go back to our state and we create a state value called percentage. And what the percentage would be? Percentage would be our current characters minus max characters. Sorry, yeah, our max characters minus current characters divided by 100, right? That's what our formula is going to be, right? So that's what I'm going to do, and I am going to copy my function here. So current characters minus max characters into 100, but our max character, max character and current character, right? Our max character can be undefined. So what if the max character is undefined or current character is undefined? Either one of them can be undefined. So I'm going to handle that scenario as well. Here. Current character is not equal to undefined, and props dot max character is also not undefined. And if they both are not undefined, then I'm going to take this, else I'm going to take 0. Okay, so my percentage is going to be if my current character and max character are not going to be undefined, it's going to take this function. If this is not true, then it's going to take 0. And then this would go in this state dot percentage. So that's going to be my circular bar. Now, because there's no error, if I go back to our test sandbox, should be able to. For some reason, it's not showing up because there's some error somewhere. Let's see, where is the error? Yep. Non-empty expression. Percentage is of type number. And text value is of type. Let's see. There's nothing wrong here. Is there anything wrong in here? Nope. Everything is correct here. Let me just open this. Yeah, let's just see rebuilding it. Rendering for some reason. Well, nothing. Oh, maybe it's because our control, actually it's line number 32, 37. Showing some error over here. Let me put in text as well. Maybe it's because of text. Next character, current character. And let's see if that resolves the issue. Okay, maybe it's not even reloading. So let's just delete this, and then rerun it again. Yeah, it was successful. See, somehow it was not rendering. Anyway, so we got this 80. Yeah. That's it's not showing the circular thing, but that's fine. I think so it's because it's too much. Let's go back here. We'll fix this later on. Now now what we're going to do is it's not going to change as you type in the data because it's not re-rendering again, right? So that is what we want to fix. So we want to go back to our index.ts file, and within index.ts file, we want to do the update method. So whenever update happens, it's going to do the same thing. Yeah. Well, I don't have anything on the update. 1 second, just hold on. Let me check what's happening here. Oh, yeah, wrong. Change style. I'm gonna put in style here as well. Let's see if that fixes the issue. There you go. I still don't see. Oh, because maximum is not there. Is that the reason? Nope. I know why the circular is not showing up. And even this is not getting rendered. So maybe there's something wrong with my browser. Let me just open up in this. Something is wrong with my browser, I guess, because nothing is getting rendered. None of the UI is getting rendered. So I'm not sure what's wrong. Maybe it's my sharing. I'm gonna stop presenting before we can continue, just so that I can validate whether it is working or not. Was my browser. Okay, I am gonna give me 1 second. I'm just trying to capture everything because it wasn't working because of my sharing for some reason. I don't know. Build React circular. That is strange. Hi. Anyway, I'm gonna share back. Let's see. So this page, which was not loading before, it started loading again. So basically what you do is you copy this npm install command from here, and then you can use this command import. You can use this import for CSV styles, and that is what we have missed. So I'm gonna do that here. Yeah. And then here, oh, this error in loading. What's wrong? Okay. For some reason, it's still not showing up. I don't know why. As soon as I start sharing, it doesn't show up. Tells me something is wrong. But anyway, so is it loading for you guys with this circular progress bar?
I stopped while the control was still loading from XRM2 box, so I'm just doing the coding part, but I can't test it.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else is following up.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just complete this, right? So for me, once I'm sharing, it's not loading. So I'm just going to continue with assumption that it's still working for you guys. So basically what you can do is later on, you can put on change command over here. So this text field has a lot of things available for you. So if you go to the Fluent UI component, you can see that there are few options available for you. If you scroll down, so on change, on get error message, on render. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the on change method. And so basically the way you do it, the easiest way you do it is you type in on change. Yeah. And then the on change will give you a definition here. And you just copy this definition as is, and that is going to become your definition of your function. Yeah. And then you can go and create a function for you inside your class. So here we can go and say private function, and then you can say on change, whatever name you want to give, and then you can just paste whatever you had copied. This gives you that function.
Hey Dennis, real quick, the IntelliSense you're getting here, is it from your extension, from VS Code, or just the Fluent UI NPM?
The on change one, the one that it
Yeah,
showed. Yeah, that's because of the Fluent UI.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because if Fluent UI is installed on your node modules, the Visual Studio, not from Fluent actually, Visual Studio goes and reads the node modules and then populates this, because you are importing that text field and stack. So it will go and render based on wherever you are.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so where I was private method, and then you say on change, and then paste that function, right? And then in that function, you just have to make sure that you define your return type. So that would be void. Yeah. Yep, we don't have new value public render. Yeah, this should be. Why is this not showing up? Maybe there are too many brackets. Yep, too many brackets. There you go. Okay, so now we have our onChange method, and then here you can say is equal to open brackets and then onChange method that you have defined. And inside this onChange method, you can say whatever you want. So in here, you can change the percentage. So that is what we want to do, is change our percentage. So to change the percentage, because it is in the state method, the reason why we want to put things in state is so that we can play with the state, right? So state is like a temporary cache in memory cache that React does. So you can do to change the state or to set the state again, you have to do set state. And then within that set state, you can either change the values of all the state keys that you have, or you can change just one. If you want to change just one, then you have to do it in a different way like this. So open bracket, arrow, and then open curly braces. And within that curly braces, you can type in return. And then inside of return, you can just specify one. And for us, it's going to be that percentage, right? And this time the percentage is going to be our this new value, right? Because new value is going to be our current characters, right? So that is what that new value is going to be. So we can copy this entire logic that we have here. And then instead of doing props.current character, you can do new value. And props.max character can still be the same. You just have to use this. This would go away. This would be your new value. And then props can again have this. So this is going to be our new value is of type string. Oh, yeah, new value is of type string. So we want to do this via integer, right? So new value dot length. Okay, so that becomes a percentage. And then you can also do the current characters. So current characters. Current characters, you can copy it from here. And that would be and why it's giving error. Okay, current character couldn't be new value dot length. Yeah. Okay. And could be 0 as well. So depending on that. So now whenever you're changing anything, so if you go back here, not even getting typed now. But my browser is something wrong with it. Or maybe some key has pressed. I don't know. Not able to type anything. That's strange. I don't know. Something might have got selected. And change. Nope. Something is not right on my browser right now. But yeah, so that was it. Sorry, it didn't work out at the end, the demo. I don't know what's wrong with it. The code is all correct. So I'll have to go and see where did I make any mistake. It could be some small mistake that might have happened. I just don't know where it is. But anyway, any questions?
For me, I don't have any questions now. I'm gonna do the walkthrough again, slowly, because my experimental box just froze. So we'll do the walkthrough. If I could ask Danish, once you have this compiling, and maybe, I mean, whenever you have the time to just reassess what's going on, even with the browser, can you give us maybe a zip file of this content, and then folks can compare what they do against what you have, and that way we can kind of compare our solutions to yours in the end. That would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I can provide that output.
I promise I won't advertise them as my own control on PCF Gallery.
Yeah, just so that you guys can see what I had actually built. I'm gonna do this through PCF builder and test. Okay, let's do this. Let's see if this one works. Yeah, so this is what I was actually expecting, right? So zero to hero. So this is what I was expecting. And then as you start typing in the characters, once it reaches certain threshold, it will go to change the color and then go to red. So this is what I was actually expecting. But I just realized when I looked the code, I should have provided the path, and I didn't provide the path in my code. So that was what was missing, and probably that's the reason it's not showing anything. It has that data, but it's showing white, and probably that is the reason. So yeah, this is how you actually specify the colors, and you can see that I've specified. I'm looking at the percentage. If it is 90%, I'm providing a different color. If it is 70%, I'm providing a different color. And then that PB path is provided in the styles. And all this information around that circular progress bar, you can always find it in on this website as well. Like this is where he has specified how to change the colors, how to use it, theming and things like that. Like you can probably use more rotations, strokes, whatnot to it. But yeah, basically that's all about like PCF is like, make sure whenever you're using React, the overview is in your control. The way I do it is all these files in index.ts is my controller. If I have to get the data from web API, if I have to use context, then everything happens here. And my components, React components, are only for view, right? So anything to do with view is over there. If I have to pass anything from my PCF to my React, do it through that property, right? And then property can also have one thing that we didn't discuss is this relay new data back. So properties can have functions. So you define your functions, you call this function over here, right, in your state, and then this is defined in your index.ts. So in your index.ts, you define this over here and then say my property relay new data is binded to this function. And this get change data from React component is called here. And what it does is it goes and notifies the output change, which goes and notifies the host that a data has been changed. So then the host gets that notification and then shows up the changes. Yeah. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. We have some other folks here on the call. If you have questions, we'll put the video almost immediately on YouTube as soon as we are done, and then Danish, I'll wait for that file. I'll put it both together, and then that way folks can kind of at a slower pace. They can do step by step. But thank you so much for doing this for us. I had if folks joined us late, Danish has this book also. You want to get it from Amazon. It's pretty much you're gonna have the class he delivered today with you forever, essentially. If you need to reference to it. But again, thanks, Danish. Really appreciate you doing that, folks who are connecting us from Europe. I completely missed the fact that we are 1 hour earlier. So I saw Mala joining us late in the game. So my apologies there. I'll be more careful for the lesson next week to let people know that we are connecting 1 hour earlier. I didn't realize the UK wasn't going to daylight saving as well. But I'll let people know. If you guys have a camera though, I would love to get a screenshot of your faces here, if that is okay for you. Quickly here in maybe 4 or 5 seconds. If you want to turn on your cameras, we can get you here. Jonah, you're here too.
Jonas.
Awesome.
Hey.
All right. Anybody else wants to turn on their cameras? If yes, couple seconds more. All right, we're going on 3. All right. 3, 2, 1. Big smile. I got it. So next week, guys, we're gonna have Will. I forgot his last name. Hansel, I think. He's gonna be teaching us ALM, the level 0, if you will. And then the following week is gonna be doing like a hero level in ALM, so DevOps and all of that stuff. And then the week after, that is April 7th, we're gonna have the one and only Jonas Rapp is gonna be teaching us Oh my God, I forgot the title of the lesson, Jonah. But we thought about zero to hero, fetch XML
Fetch
builder.
XML builder.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna hear from the author himself. So thank you so much, Jonah, for dedicating your time for it. So I know Danish he's gotta go, and maybe somebody else has a meeting as well. But thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.